Welcome you to this storytelling session. Stories can be told in many ways. In novels, short stories, plays, dance, songs, puppet shows, to name it. To name it. They can also be told through films. Last month, we lost one of our finest filmmakers, Shyam Benegal. Internationally acclaimed, multiple award winner. He grew up and studied in the Twin Cities. Om Puri, the well-known actor, said, "In the jungle of Indian cinema, there are thousands of trees. The tallest of them is Satyajit Ray, and the whitest, like the banyan tree, is Shyam Benegal." Shyam Babu, you are a story well told. We now commence our reading for this session.
Fine. For this afternoon session, ladies and gentlemen, we've chosen excerpts from books that were all of them published in 2024. We commence our reading with an excerpt from a book called Maya Nagari, which are writings about the city of Bombay, compiled and edited by Jerry Pinto and Shanta Gokhale. From this book, we've chosen a piece called House Cleaning by Jerry Pinto. Anyone who lived in Bombay would know how redoubtable the house cleaning bai is. Now, this story is about one such, because no one of us is enough to take the place of one of those bais. We've got 6 of us reading as the bais here to make up the one Bombay bai.
भाई साहब, आप समझ के देना।
Yeah, see.
भाई साहब, आप समझ के देना। How can I tell you how much I will charge before I see the house? In this city, everything runs on square foot, and you are saying it is so dirty that you could not do it. So you decide. Just be fair, huh? But one thing I will tell you before I start, I will not clean shit. Is there shit?
I will have the toilet cleaned separately.
Is it full?
Very full.
I can send Balu to get someone for that.
That would be good, thank you.
Balu, come here, you son of a devil. Go tell Makhya plumber to come quickly. This sir wants his friend's house cleaned. Run, go and run and come. If you go fast enough, sir might give you something nice to eat. Run. Chalo, sir, there is work to do.
Should we wait for him?
No.
We have both the mics on at the same time. Should we wait for him?
No, he will find me. He's like a bedbug. He knows where the blood is to drink. Chalo, show me the house. I have cleaned many houses for many people, so you must not worry. Oh, right here, is it? Looks clean enough from the outside.
The building is well looked after, but each house has to be maintained by those who live in it.
And your friend does not?
He hasn't been able to do for some time, for a long time, I think.
Acha, let me see. Open the door. Oh, Baba, the smell. Look at this. There is no room to walk even. Who keeps his house like this? What kind of a man puts books on the floor?
He is a poet.
A poet?
Yes, a very well respected poet.
Acha, does he write songs for films?
No. Why not?
Why not?
Maybe because he writes in English.
Oh, in English. That is it. The language that goes to the head. So many go mad.
I think he just got old.
Old? He puts books on the ground and makes pillars like this. See how much dust has gathered. You can grow bajri in it. Arey, Mama is also there.
Yeah, she's a rat. Wait.
Don't run away, sir. It is much smaller than you. It is behind that stool. Let me. Ha. Now you make a noise that side. Take that walking stick. He will come running by my side. Poke. Yes. Here it comes. Got him. Tabak.
What shall we do with the body?
What do you want to do, sir? Kriya Karam. I will leave it at the window, and in 2 minutes an Antaryami will come for it.
Antaryami?
One of the Mumbai's crows. Just wait. There, leke ja. Don't eat it here, huh?
Wow, that was quick.
Hunger is a big engine, sir. Full too. You'll go when you're hungry. Oh, look, there's Balu. Balu, up here. He's brought makhya, sir. Sir, don't cut my nose before makhya. Keep my honor. It is dirty work, sir, to clean a toilet. Give him what he asks.
Yes. Now can you tell me how much you'll charge to clean up?
Sir, this is work for 10 women for 10 years. And you want me to do it in 1 day. Where is this poet? Can he stay somewhere else? Give me 2 days and then I can do a chaka-chak job. Just like a just married bahu with a new jhadu that her mother-in-law has not broken on her back yet.
I told you he lives here. He's nowhere else to go.
I don't know how he can live here. Are Makhya, come. This is not this Sahib's house. A poet lives here. The Sahib's friend or uncle, I don't know. Just look at this place. Are Balu. That is a scorpion, not your father. If it stings you, you will do susu in your knicker. So much you will jump and cry.
Fuck, a scorpion.
English will not scare it, sir. Arey, Balu, don't try to catch it. This boy, see how he torments his mother. If he saw a snake, he would try to catch it, put it in his pocket, just kill it with one. Arey, that is a book, not a chappal. Don't kill anything with a book. Use this newspaper. Roll it up. It is alive. Use another newspaper. Roll another one over that one. Hit harder. Good. Now drop it in this pile. Take all this out and put it on the landing.
Are you sure it's dead?
Dead enough not to sting us, sir. Don't worry.
Oh, what is this? Preach. I thought it was a rusted Almira. He had everything. He could live like a king. But look at this. Even the food is all rotten. The fridge is not working even. There are cockroaches too. This is like Rani Bagh.
I think he forgets about his food.
I have heard. Happens like that in old age. Allah keep me from such a fate. I only have the shaitan to look after me. Matlab, if you will.
You have only one child?
I had a daughter too. I had kept her name Aishwarya. Then one night, she was gone.
Gone?
Kidnap. Utha le gaye bachchi ko. We were sleeping on the road na. So someone must have come in the night and taken her away.
Didn't you complain to the police?
I went to the police, sir. The policeman said, "Did you give her on bhada?"
On rent?
Oh, Saab, this is a big city. There is no city without sin. One sin is if you have a baby and you cannot look after her, then you give the baby on hire to a beggar king. he will give you 10 rupees a day for the baby for 16 hours. It will be taken in the morning at 6 and it will come back at night after 10.
Odd timings.
6 is for the temple crowd, sir. 10 is for the last of the going to home from office crowd.
Sounds like a good deal. The baby is looked after and
No, sir. The baby is not looked after. You're a man, so you're not thinking. What milk will they give the baby? Sir, I'm asking you, who can give an innocent agent sent by God opium and still have any God left in his heart?
There is some money here. Notes, look. But Mama has eaten them to bits. Throw them away. What are you talking, sir? This is Lakshmi, Sakshat. It may be Phati Bhuti, but it's still Lakshmi. You have no respect for money. Do you also write poetry?
yes,
In English?
yes.
That's why you can't talk like that about throwing Lakshmi away.
Keep it if you want.
But this is not my pay. That is separate, huh?
Why? If this is Lakshmi, then it can be your pay.
Now you are making fun of me because I am illiterate. Anyway, sir, we will have to sell these books in Radhi because they are eaten.
That's fine.
Balu, go and get some sacks. What are you standing there for like that? Have you seen your wife's ghost? Oh, Makhya, it's you. Done? Finished? All working? Wait, let me see. Just go and see, sir, if it is all to your satisfaction.
Thank you. Can you get someone to clean the pot?
You will need acid.
Acid?
That kind of staining, you need acid. Balu will get it.
But where does one get acid from?
Oh, from the banya. Where else? Balu, go and get acid, but don't run. Bring it back like a baby. No spilling, it will burn you. Do you understand? And stop showing your teeth, you donkey.
Don't slap him.
If he is slapped, he will remember. If you run even one step, Balu, you will get another slap. I will know, someone will tell me. Now go. Sometimes, sir, I think someone gave him Hakim too.
I can't believe that there are babies for hire.
There are. I'm telling you now. Sometimes the Kantipura woman also asks.
The prostitutes?
Yes, but they want everything in one shot. They want baby and man, full set.
For what?
For when they want to go out of Kantipura.
They're allowed to go out? Why?
Sometimes.
Why would they need a baby and a man to go out?
Sir, you do not look at people the way the police look. They see 4 young men together, they see trouble. They see a woman alone at night, they see trouble. They see a woman and a man and a baby together and they think family. Then they don't think trouble. They see nothing.
It's like the prostitute becomes invisible if she has a man and a baby.
Yes, she becomes a respectable woman. She becomes a mother. A baby is a useful thing.
Oh, look at these plates. They're covered with cockroach shit. Chee! But they can be cleaned. Can I have them?
They're not mine to give.
This man has everything, but he lives like he has nothing. Do you think he knows he has these plates?
I can't say.
Do you know how many plates you have in your house?
I suppose. No.
Now ask me how many plates I have.
How many plates do you have?
I don't have any.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt if you had one.
Sir, what will I do with one? There are 3 of us. Who will eat from the plate while the others watch? I need 3 plates. Your friend has 12. He does not even use one.
I suppose you could have 3 then.
Ah, Bhalu, where's that bucket? Put some water in it and some powder, that blue wala powder. Let them soak.
Now come do some work and maybe Sahib will get us all chai.
I am so sorry. Will they send the chai?
Balu, go. Run to the Iranian and tell them to send chai.
Would you like something to eat as well?
Bran maska, sir. 3 bran maska. I'm sure Makhya would like one too. Arey, sorry, what am I thinking? Do you also want?
No, thanks.
Chal Balu, what are you standing there like a bhoot?
Maybe he wants something else?
I know what he wants, sir. He's mad about their omelette pav.
Then that's what he should have.
So go and get it then. Look at him run, the harami badmash.
I don't think you should talk about him like that. He's your son.
Sometimes I feel so much love, Sahib, that my heart hurts. I see a boy walking past with a toy, and I want to give it to my son. I see a boy with a new shirt, and I want it for my son. I cannot give, so maybe I give galis instead. Our children must climb up the ladders to grow big, sir. And when they get very far up, the ladder looks so small and unimportant. But it is all right. That is the way it is. We don't mind. I'm used to the gutter, sir. But I want my Balu to climb out of it. There he is, the donkey. Oof! How long you took to run that little distance? Come and give me the chai. My throat is dry from talking. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second book we're reading from, also published in 2024, is William Dalrymple's The Golden Road, which is his most recent book, covering the influence of India through what we call the Indosphere from the pre-Christian era till about 1200 AD. So a small excerpt from The Golden Road by William Dalrymple. Despite the initial carnage, India eventually assimilated and transformed the new Turkish arrivals, as it had earlier populations of invaders from Central Asia, such as the Shakas and the Kushans. Within a few centuries, a hybrid Indo-Islamic civilization had emerged out of the meeting of these two worlds, along with hybrid languages such as Dakhni and Urdu, which mix the Sanskrit-derived vernaculars of India with Turkish, Persian, and Arabic words. Already in 1264, a bilingual inscription carved on a newly founded mosque in Veraval, near the great Hindu temple of Somnath in Gujarat, gives a picture of a town where two worlds were coming into intimate contact. The Persian text refers to the deity worshipped in the mosque as Allah and describes the patron who raised it as the Sultan of seafarers, of the son of Islam and the Muslims. By contrast, the Sanskrit text in the same inscription describes the deity in the mosque as Vishwanatha, that is Lord of the universe, Shunyarupa, one whose form is the void, and Vishwarupa, having various forms. The Muslim patron is described as Dharma Bandai, a supporter of Dharma, the righteous cosmic order of justice and duty as understood in Indian cosmic thought. A similar world can be observed through the Sanskrit inscription written by a Brahmin on a well dug in 1276 by a Hindu landowner at Palam, which at that time just outside Delhi. Having saluted both Ganesh and Shiva, the Brahmin praises the new Sultan Balban for having brought such stability and contentment to his people that, he said, Vishnu, relinquishing all worries, sleeps in peace on the ocean of milk, protected by the Sheshnag serpent. For him at least, Balban was simply a successor to the Tomar and Chauhan Rajputs who preceded him. There is no hint, at least in this inscription, of a major civilizational transition. This is confirmed by the writings of the conservative Muslim intellectual Zia al-Din Barani, who was actually horrified that the Sultan Balban not only allows but is pleased with the fact that infidels, polytheists, idol worshippers, and cow dung worshippers build houses like palaces in Delhi. Muslims beg of them at their doors, and in the capital of Islam, customs of infidelity are openly practiced, idols are publicly worshipped. They also adorn their idols and celebrate their rejoicings during their festivals with the beat of drums and dhols.
The polyglot poet, composer, courtier, and Indian-born intellectual Amir Khusro is in many ways the symbol of this confluence of the two opposing cultures. Born to a father from Khorasan and a mother from Delhi, Khusro is credited with giving Indian Islamic culture a distinctive flavor for the first time, bringing Indian classical music and Islamic mysticism or Sufism together with the invention of the Qawwali. He also played a major role in the literary flowering of Hindavi, the root from which both Urdu and Hindi developed. As he put it himself, the opposition has been removed from Turk and Hindu, for Hindustan has become one with Khorasan. The next period of Indian history saw a complex, multilingual, pluralistic, and syncretic interaction between the Persian and the Sanskritic worlds, with Persian as the dominant court and diplomatic language, but with Sanskrit and Sanskrit-derived vernaculars remaining important and influential. Sanskritic stories and myths remained alive and still much loved. In this new world, the stories of the great Persian poet Ferdowsi about Shirin and Khusro now began to coexist with the heroes of the Mahabharata, the Pandava and Kaurava brothers. This was also the period the samosa, the Uzbek sums, and the naan arrived in northern India from Central Asia.
Up next is an excerpt from Viewfinder, a memoir. Viewfinder is the autobiography of actor, director, theatre person, and painter Amol Palekar. I was confident that the songs of Rajnigandha, composed by the master music director Salil Chowdhury, would become immortal. However, I was a bit uncertain about his decision to use Mukesh's voice in the song Kai Baar Yoon Hi Dekha Hai. But since I didn't have to lip sync to it, I ignored that concern. Mukesh even won the National Award for Best Male Playback Singer that year for this song. My belief was that presenting a simple story in a simple manner would forge a strong connection with the audience, and that belief got validated by the success of Rajnigandha. After the inaugural 11 a.m. show ended, the audience surrounded Dinesh and me. When the Marathi viewers especially came up to me to shake my hand, I saw a different shade of affection and pride in their eyes. Showered by praise, I felt fulfilled. Rajnigandha became a hit. Rajshri Pictures released it in all major cities across the country in their characteristic restrained distribution style. It celebrated silver jubilees in Mumbai and Delhi. Of course, it wasn't given any grand publicity, advertisements, or pomp. Commercial success of the film was discussed with tight lips. Nonetheless, I started receiving numerous offers. The meeting with producer I.M. Kunnu that took place thereafter was amusing. He supported directors like B.R. Ishara, known for making bold films like Chetna, while maintaining the mainstream tag. He came with an offer for a film and started asking me questions like, how many films have you accepted recently? What is your expected remuneration? In response, I asked him counter questions like, what is the subject of your film? Details of the protagonist's character? Can I read the entire script? He probably didn't like that and gave up on me during the meeting itself. Around the same time, actors from the FTII, Film and Television Institute of India, like Anil Dhawan, Shatrughan Sinha, Satish Kaul, and Romesh Sharma, were making the rounds of producers' offices. That was something I could never do. Once again, I got a call from Basuda. Over coffee at Samovar, he started talking about a new film. You must have seen the Hollywood movie School for Scoundrels, but perhaps you don't know the old film, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I knew P.L. Deshpande had made the film Gulacha Ganapati, a simpleton, basing it on Walter Mitty. Basuda spoke of blending the two stories into an entertaining fusion and then handed me the complete script of Choti Si Baat. Although the film was being made under the big banner of B.R. Chopra Films, there was no change in Basuda's simple, minimalistic style. The shooting started at 9 a.m. at the Kodak office in Fort. Around 10:30 a.m., Ashok Kumar made his entry. After formal introductions, Basuda began shooting my scene with him. Most of the scene involved my silent reaction to his extensive dialogues, and the shooting got over in no time. While the arrangements for the next scene were underway, Ashok Kumar went to Basuda and asked in Bengali, "Where did you find this young man? You said he came from the theatre, but I couldn't find even a hint of theatricality in his acting." Since they didn't know I understood Bengali, they spoke openly about me within earshot. I tried to maintain as neutral a face as possible. By the end of the day, I was chatting easily with Ashok Kumar, addressing him as Dada Moni. Not only that, but when he found out that I had studied painting at the Sir J.J. School of Art, he warmly invited me to his penthouse opposite the Jahangir Art Gallery. He even invited me to his bungalow in Chembur a couple of times. In later years, Dada Moni was the only artist from the Hindi film industry who consistently attended each of my painting exhibitions.
Is a delightful story by Dr. Gogu Shyamala, who's a well-known poet and writer in Telugu. Her stories have been translated into several languages. This story is translated into English by Dr. R. Srivatsan, who has several published books to his credit on a variety of topics. Tataki is published as part of different tales, stories from marginal cultures and regional languages by the Anveshi Research Center for Women's Studies, Hyderabad. Ladies and gentlemen, I have great pleasure in announcing that both Dr. Gogu Shyamala and Dr. R. Srivatsan are in the audience. May I request them to please stand up. Please acknowledge. Well, we continue.
Spade on shoulder, Balama patrolled the mud banks of the canal that bordered the groundnut fields. The stream wound its way around a rocky patch, bringing water to Balama's land. She had just broken the bund to let the canal water in. The mud walls around the other fields had not yet been broken, so water flowed plentifully into her field. The groundnut beds filled rapidly. Balama, who filled such large plots with water, was not yet 12. The Karnam's bonded labourer had woken early and walked to the adjoining field in a hurry. By then, all but 2 of Balama's plots had filled with water. He swore at her. "When did you come like a ghost in the dark? Filled all the plots, huh? Fill the last 2 later. I'm diverting the water to my field," he ordered. He lowered his spade to block the stream flowing into her field with mud. That was it. The girl sped up like a rocket and stomped down on the mud bank he had just built. "Move, old man!" She elbowed him and he fell into the bund. "I have 2 more plots to water. They will fill in no time," she said, as she returned to her field. "Don't you dare come near till then. You can divert the flow after I leave. The last 2 plots filled up and Balama's watering was done. She came up to the stream, washed the mud off her feet, and shouted, Tata, dam the stream now. Divert the water to the Karnam's field. You are a very kind girl. You have just pushed me to the bank and you are now calling me Tata, he said, getting up and redirecting the water. The water flowed into the Karnam's first plot. It had not yet filled when the water dropped to half its level. Cursing, he looked up beyond the rocks. By then, the workers in the field on both banks upstream had begun to draw water. The level in the canal dropped completely.
Narsudu and Yeludu, who played Gilli Danda, were already there. She thought gleefully, Yesterday I hit the gilli so far. I had you both running like hell to catch it. Come, I'll make you run again. She quickly washed her face, ate some groundnuts fresh from the fields, and drank water. Then she ran to meet her friends. Shall we play Gilli Danda? Okay, stand on this side. Stop the gilli from going into the lake. I will stand on the other side and take the catch, he said. Taking the gilli and danda from the bush, Balama hitched her skirts up over her knees. She drew a thick line on the ground and took aim, poised to strike the gilli on the line. She struck the ground near the gilli a few times, and when she was ready, tapped the edge of the gilli, spinning it into the air and hitting it mid-flight. It didn't go too far the first time. Narsudu couldn't take the catch either. He picked up the gilli and gave it back to Balama. She took position again and hit it hard the next time. Now it went spinning in the air across the field, falling in a bush. A rabbit scampered out of the bush and ran into the open. Yeludu saw it first. A rabbit! A rabbit! He shouted. Balama threw down the danda. They all picked up the sticks and ran after the animal. To its bad luck, it ran towards the lake edge. Make it run into the lake. Don't let it run any other way, Balama shouted. They cornered the rabbit, yelling loudly to confuse it. Ho, ho, ho! Laba, laba, laba.
Wherever the rabbit ran, they blocked its path, shouting and singing. It finally ran towards the lake. It swam into the water and tried to escape. The rabbit is done for, said Balama. It will swim away to the other bank, disagreed Yeludu. You think it will live long enough to cross the lake? What use it is to us if it dies, asked Narsudu. If it dies in the lake, the fish will eat it. Stupid. Why should we wait for it to cross the lake or to die in the middle? One of us must swim and get it, said Balama. Will you go, Yalla? Asked Narsudu. No, I can't swim with my injured leg, replied Yeludu. These fellows are no good, thought Balama, tucking up her skirt between her legs and jumping into the lake. She swam strongly in the direction the rabbit took. Moving with the ease of a fish, she reached the rabbit in no time. She caught it by the scruff of the neck with one hand and swam back to the bank. There, the other two took the rabbit from her and wiped it dry with a towel. Balama took the animal home. Her father heard the news on his way back from the bazaar. I'm tired of eating tamarind curry and dal every day. You cook a tasty rabbit curry today and we can all enjoy ourselves, said Basaya. The field next to Balama's had a jowar crop. So healthy it looked like sugarcane. Even tall men standing in the field could not be seen. There, right from that field, the landlord sprang out, grabbed Balama's hand and dragged her back. At first she did not understand who was pulling her and why. After she saw his face, she recognized the Karnam of the neighboring groundnut field and felt a rush of fear. Karnams were of a higher caste. They would never touch a Madiga. Why was he pulling her? It baffled her. Tataki, you bloody witch! You're a small girl, are you? What makes you come here like a man and water the groundnut fields? In our houses, girls like you don't step into the field. You Malas and Madigas don't even know that girls should be kept at home. You're a small girl, are you? Cursing her, he thrust his hand into her blouse. Her small hands couldn't throw off the landlord's fat paws. His body felt like an iron post.
Balama trembled all over. Her mouth went dry. One corner of her mind recalled the women in the Mala and Madiga settlements whispering about how the landlord had taken one woman or another. Then it struck her. This swine is going to do something awful. But she simply couldn't free herself from the landlord's hands. Not knowing what to do, she fell onto the ground. But he continued to drag her. Do I have to drag you now? Why should I waste my energy? Just walk. Do you think I'll let you go if you fall on the ground? He said. I will drag you like a fallen branch if I have to. Master, let me go. I fall at your feet. Balama howled. Do you think they'll come running as soon as you call out? Will they stay alive if they do? Why are you shouting at the top of your voice? Thundered the Karna. You really have a swollen head. You water the fields before my men, do you? He hit her hard on the cheek. Balama was thrown to a distance. He went after her, grabbed her hand and bent over her to drag her again. She took aim and kicked him as hard as she could on the groin with both her legs. She took her chance, raised herself and ran without looking back. Tataki, you tramp! That demon is running away. Catch her! Catch her! Catch her! Shouted the landlord as he collapsed. In the village, the Mala and Madiga women giggled through their pallus as they shared the news. The landlord wanted to catch up Balamani. She kicked him in the groin.
(1948). We had the police action in Hyderabad. I see a member of the Royal Assajahi family joining us. Welcome, Adab. We are now going to read from an essay called October Coup by Muhammad Haider. Mr. Haider, I believe, was collector of Usmanabad. This is published in the volume from Hyderabad 1948, Readings, One Period, Many Views. I was hoping Geeta Ramaswamy, one of the editors, would be present here. Is she? No, she is not.
She has another session.
Other section. So anyway, here goes. From October Coup by Muhammad Haider. At about 9:30 p.m. on 16th September, I met the Prime Minister and briefed him about my last 10 days in Osmanabad and my eventful return. I reminded him of what I'd said so often about our armed forces. I remember suggesting that we should now concentrate our efforts on averting the possibility of Hyderabad and Sikandrabad becoming a battleground in their turn. What he said next left me flabbergasted. What had taken place so far, he said in the old, confident tone, was according to plan. Our armies had carried out a tactical retreat. He hoped to break the encirclement and surround the Indian forces in turn when they came a little closer to Hyderabad. He seemed to attach little importance to the loss of border districts. The few roadside places that are now occupied, he said, can easily be retaken. It made me sad to recall that this was the way he had talked when we lost Nanach. I asked, how do we plan to retake them? With what? We are expecting a consignment of anti-tank guns. They should arrive any moment, he said in his usual matter-of-fact, confident manner. Yes, he continued, they should have been here a long time ago, but due to some bungling, I discovered they were still in storage at the Cairo airport. These things happen, but that's been put right. When they arrive, they will be devastating. We plan to use them against the Indian tanks when they come a little closer to Hyderabad. Was all this true? I had no knowledge of these things, and I could hardly cross-examine the Prime Minister. Next, I went to see Qasim Razvi. He had lost some of his supreme self-confidence and was in a contemplative mood. Shall we be betrayed? That's up to them. Shall we be defeated? That's up to us. For the first time, on 16 September 1948, he conceded that perhaps in some ways the Razakar movement had been a mistake. But even in the face of defeat, he clung to his belief in his own destiny. Let us see what happens tomorrow, he said. I had reason to recall those words. Early on the morning of Friday, 17 September, there was a call for me from Qasim Razvi. This was the first time I'd spoken to him on the telephone. Stay indoors, he advised me. Do not stir out of the house, because the inevitable will happen after Friday prayers. Do you expect the Indian Army to enter the city by then? I asked. No, that's not it. Then what? I asked. The inevitable, he replied. Our people have been armed. It turned out that he'd actually distributed several thousand rifles amongst his followers with instructions to start a massacre of the Hindus that afternoon. I was horrified. I told him that this was wrong and it would mean the complete devastation of Hyderabad when the Indian forces reached here. He was in no mood to listen. I begged him to make his last gesture before retiring from politics, a merciful one. He did not listen to very much of this and ran off. I rushed to Nawab Deen Jung. He had already received information that Qasim Razvi was contemplating such a move. There was no time to lose. Both of us began trying to get Qasim Razvi on the phone. I remember vividly with what desperation the Director General, who was now Deniya Chand, saw the minutes pass. I finally got the connection and passed the receiver to the Director General.
Deniya Chand sensed that perhaps Qasim Razvi wanted to be dissuaded from a rash and tragic final act. And as I listened to him, I was reminded of Bacon's advice on negotiation. If you would work any man, you must either know his nature and so lead him, or his ends and so persuade him. At the beginning of the conversation, I heard Deniya Chand say, yes, 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 on the phone for several minutes. He was obviously letting him talk and listening carefully. He was soothing in his brief responses, even talking at one point about Qasim Razvi's place in history. As Qasim Razvi grew calmer, Deniya Chand's tone changed. He condemned the logic of distributing arms. Is this move in line with what you have tried to accomplish? He then drew him into his own preoccupations with law and order. They agreed that the Indian forces were now drawing near with irresistible force. If they could not be stopped, They and the murderous gangs that were following in the army's wake should at least be denied the opportunity to exact revenge. The military should be obliged to protect us and not stand on one side and allow massacres to take place in the city. How can we ensure that? They spoke for over half an hour. Now, Deenyar Jung had spent over a quarter of a century in public service. He had great powers of persuasion, but never, I'm sure, were his talents put to a more terrifying test than in that half hour on the 17th September 1948. What he accomplished then must be his greatest contribution to the people of Hyderabad. At the end of the half an hour, Qasim Razvi agreed to ask his followers to surrender their arms. Later in the day, there were reports of Layaq Ali and his cabinet resigning that morning, 17 September, and handing over the reins of government to the Nizam. This was confirmed by a broadcast by Layaq Ali, who declared that his ministry was not able to carry on the government and that he had entrusted the affairs of the state to HEH. By 5 p.m. on the same day, a ceasefire was effective throughout Hyderabad state. By evening, it was known in Hyderabad that General Idrus had met HEH the previous day and advised him that further resistance would be futile and would only lead to heavy casualties. HEH Nizam himself went on the air and announced that he had accepted the resignation of the Layaq Ali ministry and had asked K. Munshi, Agent General of India, to propose the names of ministers who would form the new government. The Layaq Ali ministry, he declared, had failed to fulfill its mandate and he had taken direct control of the administration. That evening, Qasim Rizvi too went on air. His voice was heard on Deccan radio for the last time. He accepted his failure in fulfilling his promises, saying that circumstances had conspired against him. He exhorted the Muslim population to remain calm, even in the face of provocation, and hoped that the traditional unity of Hindus and Muslims would be maintained at all cost, forgetting the events of the immediate past. People who heard him were unanimous that this was his finest and most statesman-like speech. On the 18th of September 1948, Indian forces reached the outskirts of Hyderabad and their commander, General Chaudhary, spent the night in Bolaram at the residence of the Agent General K.M. Munshi. Police action was over. On the 19th September, General Idrus signed an unconditional surrender. Hyderabad had been knocked down like a ripe fruit. Qasim Razvi was arrested and handed over to the Indian Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see Mr. Shashi Kumar of South End Books. We are waiting for you. Do give him a hand. Hello.
Our next piece is from the book Knife, Meditations After an Attempted Murder. This is an autobiographical book by British Indian writer Salman Rushdie, first published in 2024. The book recounts the stabbing attack on Rushdie in 2022. Knife. At 11:15 on August 12, 2022, on a sunny Friday morning in upstate New York, I was attacked and almost killed by a young man with a knife just after I came out on stage at the amphitheater in Chautauqua to talk about the importance of keeping writers safe from harm. What I didn't know was that my would-be killer was already present on the grounds of the Chautauqua institution. He had entered using a false ID, his fake name constructed out of the real names of well-known Shia Muslim extremists. And even as we walked to dinner and back again to the guest house where we were staying, he too was there somewhere. He had been there for a couple of nights, wandering around, sleeping rough, checking out the site of his intended attack, making his plan, unnoticed by any surveillance camera or security guard. We could have run into him at any moment. I will try to understand what it was about in this book.
The amphitheatre seats over 4,000 people. It wasn't full, but there was a big crowd. My first thought when I saw this murderous shape rushing toward me was, so it's you. Here you are. Death was coming at me. This was my second thought. Why now? Really? It's been so long. Why now after all these years? Surely the world had moved on and the subject was closed. Yet here, approaching fast, was a sort of time traveler, a murderous ghost from the past. I never saw the knife, or at least I have no memory of it. I don't know if it was long or short, a broad bowie knife, a blade, or narrow like a stiletto, bread knife serrated or crescent curved, or a street kid's flick knife, or even a common carving knife stolen from his mother's kitchen. I don't care. It was serviceable enough, that invisible weapon, and it did its work. And I thought about the distance of the moon, Italo Calvalloy's story in Cosmic Comics. And I thought about Tex Avery's cartoon Billy Boy, about the little goat that ate the moon. This is the free associative way in which my mind works. I also remembered Georges Méliès's 14-minute silent film, Le Voyage dans la Lune.
Why didn't I fight? Why didn't I run? I just stood there like a piñata and let him smash me. Am I so feeble that I couldn't make the slightest attempt to defend myself? Was I so fatalistic that I was simply prepared to surrender to my murder? Why didn't I act? I remember lying on the floor, watching the pool of my blood spreading outward from my body. That's a lot of blood, I thought. And then I thought, I'm dying. It didn't feel dramatic or particularly awful. It just felt probable. Yes, that was very likely what was happening. It felt matter of fact. What I felt most strongly was a profound loneliness. I would never see Eliza again. I would never see my sons again, or my sister, or my daughters. Somebody tell them, I was trying to say. I don't know if anyone heard me or understood. My voice sounded far away from me, croaking, halty, blurry, inexact. I could see as though through a glass darkly.
Cut his clothes off. We can see where the wounds are, somebody shouted. Oh, I thought, my nice Ralph Lauren suit. Then there were scissors or maybe a knife, I really have no idea, and my clothes were being torn off me. There were things that people really needed to attend to urgently. There were also things I needed to say. My credit cards are in that pocket, I mumbled over what might, to whoever might pay attention. My house keys are in the other pocket. I heard a man's voice saying, what does it matter? Then a second voice, of course it matters. Don't you know who this is? It was probable that I was dying. So what did it matter indeed? I didn't expect to need house keys or credit cards. But now, looking back, hearing my broken voice insist on those things, the things of my normal everyday life, I think that a part of me, some battling part deep within, simply had no plan to die and fully intended to use those keys and cards again in the future, on whose existence that inner part of me was insisting with all the will it possessed. Some part of me was whispering, live, live. The opening line of satanic verses returned to haunt me. To be born again, first you have to die.
Lithuania is the guest country of the Hyderabad Literary Fest 2025. I'll be reading Godbone, written by Lithuanian author Eugenius Alisanka, which has been translated into English. The father died, didn't leave a will. The son took the body to the ruins of the mill on the hill and left it, and then received a sign. 3 days, 3 nights, the sky was choked with dust until silence settled and gold separated from silver, silver from copper. Hawks, dogs, and rats divvied up the copper coins. Silver was scoured by the acid of the sun. The son packed the gold into his mother's hand-woven sack and left for Vilnius. A middle-aged man walked around repeatedly opening and closing doors in search of luck, and not finding any, he showed the father's gold to goldsmiths and craftsmen, to rich Jews and low-life imps. One bought a shin bone for a flute, another finger bones for a bracelet. A third chap got a good deal on a pelvic bone for his daughter's wedding. The fourth one bought some, but didn't say what for, and so left with just the skull. On cold nights he'd curl up, stuffing the sockets with newspapers, and then sleep like a baby in its womb without any dreams. And myself, I bought one bone, but don't know its name. Neither me nor my son.
Takari Shivashankar Pillai, the granduncle of Sri Kumar Nair, who will be reading the piece from M.T. Vasudevan Nair. Sri Kumar, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Shankar sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, the only piece that we're reading this afternoon that was not published in 2024 is an excerpt from M.T. Vasudevan Nair's Randamuram, which is a retelling of the Mahabharata, of the Mahabharata through the eyes of Bhima, the second son. Always the second son. Second in order of birth and in wisdom to Yudhishthira, second in skill at arms to Arjun, second to meet Draupadi. So ladies and gentlemen, a short excerpt from Randamuram by M.T. Vasudevan Nair. First of all, we set apart space for a burial ground. The site we chose was on the banks of the Hiranvati river. Military camps were then organized all over Kurukshetra. Seated around large fires, soldiers sharpened their weapons. Horses and elephants were stabled by the riverbank. Chariots stood between the main tents. The treasury and mechanical weapons arrived the next day in carts. The physicians followed. The last group to arrive were Magad minstrels and musicians who would sing heroic ballads to encourage our soldiers as they set out for battle and soothe their weariness when they came back. Standing on the roof of the watchtower, Yudhishthira supervised preparations. Arjuna walked in and out of the armories giving instructions. I concentrated on the elephants. I had the decorative nettipottam on their foreheads replaced with spiked metal shafts to shatter enemy chariots. Back at my tent, I found Vishoka waiting for me. He had heard news of the war and come immediately from Kashi. I was relieved to see him. The charioteer of my huge chariot, positioned in the center, had to be an expert. A servant came in and said, "A prince is waiting outside." a strong, handsome young man walked in. Thick hair fell down from his hairpiece, and his eyes reflected the green of the forests. I felt I had seen his face somewhere. He touched my feet in obedience. I am Sarvada, your son. Valandara is my mother. I embraced him, silently ashamed of my own callousness. We princes so often forgot our own children who grow up elsewhere. Even when Vishoka had come from Kashi, I had not thought to ask after Balandara's son. I wondered whether only we of the Kuru race were like this. When Abhimanyu had arrived to wed Uttara, Arjun had not recognized him. Looking at Sarvada, I chastised myself. My son was not yet old enough to fight a war, yet he had come. The son of Valandara, whom I had abandoned as casually as a traveler leaves behind leftovers from a food packet. But no, a Kshatriya should never be weakened by blood ties. That is what the teachers of our childhood instilled in us. Sarvada said, "My mother is waiting outside." I went out to Valandara. She bent to touch my feet. I gripped her shoulder and lifted her. Her smiling eyes were moist. I had never asked after Valandara while she was in Kashi, nor bothered to send a messenger. Yet, there she stood before me, smiling brightly, as if we had parted company just the previous day. The women who married into the Kuru race had to have great powers of endurance, as our aunt Gandhari had once said to us. No, it was Draupadi who had said that a few days ago. I asked a servant to take Sarvada to the prince's tent. "I've come to fight, don't worry about me," he said respectfully. I told Valandara about the women's quarters we had organized across the river. Women never slept in the warriors' tents. "I'll stay with mother in Vidra's house," she said. She untied a knot in her upper cloth. We who are from the east usually perform sacrificial pujas to Rudra and Durga before a war. Red sinduram and white flower petals soaked in sacrificial blood lay on the fig leaf she gave to me before she and Sarvada took their leave. Vishoka from behind remarked, "I have 3 children now." I had not known. No one ever asked the charioteers about their families. We had other dilemmas to deal with. The war we were preparing to fight was between a king who had wagered a woman and a king who had accepted that wager. I thought to myself, women are either pawns in a game or packets of food to be eaten and abandoned. The more I thought about such things, the more I despised myself. I asked Vishoka, "Bring me a pot of liquor quickly."
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with that we come to the end of this session. You have been a wonderful audience. We thank you. And before we close, the names of our readers, starting with Shri Kumar, who is a military historian with 3 volumes published and 2 under production. Give him a hand. Malavika, who's come from America to join us and read today. Arnav, Ranjan, Akhil, he's the guy who's done the illustrations. Done a wonderful job. Please give him a hand. Deepika, Malini, Megha, P.S. Prakash, Shankar, thank you, Sagarika, Monika, and Padma Ramesh. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. But she wasn't there in the morning. Aarti Fatar. Anyway.